Okay, so welcome to our first virtual tech talk in a long time in Australia. Today's topic is going to be careers in software development, and we've got two guest speakers, Ryan and Ty, that have given up their time tonight to shed some light on the possible career progressions after the boot camp in software development. A few housekeeping rules before we get into it. Please make sure that you're on mute unless you're called on. If you are going to use the chat function, please be respectful of the language that you use in the chat. If you send a direct message, please give me a little bit of time to respond. For those that know me, you'll realise I am the worst typer going around, so it will take a little bit longer than normal for me to type out a response. If you do have any questions, just let me know that you've got a question during the chat function. I'll keep a little bit of a list, and then when it comes to the question and answer session, I'll call on you to ask your question. To save any of the resources that are in the chat function, you just need to click on chat and there's an option to save it. If you find yourself speaking first from the prompts and questions, please don't hog the session, allow some of the other guests, the other students to ask questions and things like that as well. That's pretty much it. For those that have joined, I'll stop sharing. For those that have joined a little bit late, there is a link in the chat function. If you go to that link, you're able to register register that you have attended. Oh, and for those that don't know me, sorry, my name's Ian. I'm a part of the career services team here at Trilogy Education. Most of you would know Rita. She's involved with all the student-facing side of things with career services, so helping you with your milestones, interview preparations, and that type of stuff. And my role is more industry engagement. So I'm the person that gets all the industry professionals to demo day, liaise with people like Ryan and Ty to organise these tech talks, as well as trying to tap on the companies I connect with to offer you students some jobs. So that's pretty much my role. Thank you all for attending. And without further ado, I guess I'll hand over to Ty and she can introduce herself.
Hi everyone, can you hear me? Okay. Ian, do you mind sharing your slides?
No.
If you've got it there already.
That's working?
Yeah. So the next one should probably be my one. Yeah, cool, thank you. Yep, so hi everyone. My name is T and I am a software developer currently working at MYOB. It's an accounting software company, so I guess my day-to-day job is working on accounting software. If you can see like the picture at the bottom screen, at the bottom of the screen, that's what back in the days accountants used to do to record their like transactions and you know, records, and now we have automated all of that, so that's why MYOB is there. So I joined early in February of 2018. When I joined the company, I was a graduate developer. They call them protege developer there, but it's just the same as graduate. And then I became an associate, and now I'm a developer without a prefix. Next slide, please. Sorry, thanks. So before I joined MYOB, I actually used to work in the welfare sector for 7 years. So my job back then ranged from like helping people who are homeless to children in foster care, to other people who are struggling financially with like food bills, rental, things like that. So I was in there for 7 years, but sort of towards the third or the fourth year, I sort of made a decision to switch my career to do something that's completely different. That's a lot more to do with, you know, I guess logic and black and white and problem solving, as opposed to dealing with people a lot. So why the change? I guess when I finished high school, I kind of wanted to do something to help people out. That's why I started working in the welfare sector. But after a few years, I still enjoy, you know, trying to help people, but I've realized that you could do it in different ways as well. And you don't have to be particularly working in that sector to be doing that. And during that time, I was really interested in like new gadgets that were coming out. So I was like on YouTube all the time, you know, looking at YouTube videos, trying to see what's like the new tech out there. So I thought I'd give it a try. And I was also really into science back in high school. So that's why I did that. So in 2014, I started studying full time, doing a bachelor degree. And then I was working part-time at the same time. I guess some of the challenges were, you know, like I was a bit older, so, and all of the students were quite young. So I found it to be, you know, a bit interesting. Also, I haven't been studying for a while. So going back to studying full-time while working was also a bit full on, at times very challenging. But in the end, I think it was very worth it. So fast forward to now, if you don't mind going to the next slide, please. Thank you. So fast forward to now, as I mentioned before, now I currently work as a software developer. The things I worked on range from, you know, front end to back end database, also infrastructure, like how to deploy something, how to set it up so the moment you commit your code, it goes straight through a pipeline to some environment where people can start testing things on. I won't go too much into the details of the tech stacks like I've been working on, but I guess what I want to share today is some of the tips that I have or lessons that I have learned from the career switch and what I find to be helpful during the software journey so far. So I guess number one is definitely follow what you enjoy doing, because you'll be doing it for, you know, the majority of your time when you're living. So may as well do something that you really enjoy. And I can say that I've really been enjoying, you know, being a developer. Like the range of problems are very various, and you get to work with like people from all different backgrounds, and you can learn a lot from them. Also find yourself a mentor. So at the company where I'm working at, MYOB, I was very lucky to be assigned mentors when I first joined, and I still keep in touch with a lot of them. And also you get to like know more people, and they are in a way your like implicit mentors, but it's been really great having them support me along my journey, to ask questions or like to, you know, debrief on anything you might have at work. And they also give you really good ideas on what you could focus on next, or any technical challenges you might be facing. They also give really good advice as well. Yeah, and I guess, you know, regularly set goals and reflect on how you've gone so far and what you want to achieve like in the near future, because as you know, tech is revolving all the time. There's new technology coming out all the time, and you can't possibly be on top of everything. So you kind of just have to be selective within, you know, your short-term goals. Otherwise you'll get burnout really quickly. Yeah, so like I mentioned, it's okay not to know everything, and no one knows everything. Even the people who are like at the very top, no one knows everything. So don't feel like, oh my God, like I'm a failure because I don't know enough. Yep, and everyone learns at different pace. So don't feel bad if you maybe not learning as quick as your other peers. As long as you're enjoying it, that's the main thing. And I've learned that software development is not just about the tools and the tech and websites and React and whatever you've learned. It's a lot to do with people as well, and the processes within, especially like big companies where there are a lot of moving parties involved in the same thing. You'll find that often the communication and getting the processes right is really, really important as well. So it's not just about understanding your tech. Understanding it is a good foundation, but don't forget about the other sides as well. Yeah, so I think that's all I've got to share. If you're interested in any of the things I've mentioned, like the graduate program that we have, I've linked a link here. And it's very detailed. When you click on it, it tells you the different stages of the program, how you can apply. And yeah, one of the great things about it is you get to have mentors, which I find to be extremely valuable. And that's my LinkedIn in case anyone, you know, wants to know more. You can ask me questions after. I guess I'll hand over to Ryan.
Cool. Thanks, guys. My name is Ryan. Really good to be here. So just a bit about myself. I actually joined MLB at the same time as T did. And we were from the same sort of year of the graduate program. And I think if you are starting off, definitely look for those opportunities. I think it's a great opportunity because it gives you your peers to share knowledge and laughters, and most importantly, anxieties as well. I'm usually super anxious, and I used to sigh a lot when I was sitting next to T. And you know, she was often the one who's like, "Hey Ryan, calm it down, it's okay." And I think it's important to have that. And of course, you know, mentors and communities is really important. If you get a chance to be in the graduate program, definitely do it. I spent about a year and a half, almost 2 years in MLB, where I went through different rotations in different teams and moved into associate role, and then jumped ship to Oracle as a senior. And in here, you know, in Oracle, it's a totally different place where it's a super big organization with a lot of complex system. One of the systems I worked on is 19 years old. It's like we tried to read Latin. In terms of what we do, Oracle is a big company. They have many sort of different business units. And people usually know Oracle by the name of database, but actually they also have a full range of suite of softwares that helps different industries in the real world. The team that I'm currently in specialize in construction software management, and yeah, just we're building softwares to help builders, big project owners, contractors and subcontractors to manage their process, documents, review processes, and payment, and billing, and so forth. And before I moved into technology, I was an international student since 2011, and I started a design degree in RMIT. It's actually game design, so I thought it was really cool. And turns out that I wasn't really that great at drawing, but the course did, give me a good pathway to experiment with a few things. For example, scripting in game engine, and that's how I got into coding. And other than that, I've got a really mixed background of things. I've been doing quite a bit of freelancing, including graphic design, web design, and video. So that sort of gave me a good exposure to a few different things. And during the studies, I also sort of started this social media platform that had quite a bit of followers. We have multiple channels, and it was going great at one point, but I personally was hit by a sort of a medical condition that had to stop for about 2 years. And after that, I joined in a different degree, and from there, built a mobile sort of project internally that got released. And I think that was a sort of a really important point where I got recognized and then moved into the graduate program in MyOp. Next slide, please. Yeah, so I guess to touch on my personal reflections of my journey, I think I'd assume that for people who have switched swim lanes like myself, the most difficult part is actually getting in. I think once you get into the door of the industry, you have completed 80% of the journey, really, because what comes after that is a different problem, and it's sort of easier to solve as well. So I think looking back at my own journey, there were 3 things that I would really highlight. The first one is, think about yourself as a product, and you want to write your product descriptions or advertise that takes us all the boxes the customer needs. And in this case, the customers being the employers out there. So you really want to go through a lot of potential employers, read about their company profiles, read about their values and the requirements, and try to write your resumes and CVs accordingly. I remember I had like probably 50 copies that I sort of tailored to different companies, and I had them, not all of them, but some of them validated by people in the industry. I think that's another thing that is really important. And most of the time, if you reach out to people you know, or just blindly on LinkedIn, you know, definitely be courageous. Just go out there. Usually people are actually willing to help. And that's the first thing. The second thing is, I think, because I was involved in one of these demo days, I think what you guys are doing are incredible in terms of, I think what really helped me was that, you know, I got something up and running end to end and got it released so that people can actually go to the released application and check it out. Because at this stage, you know, the employers and the HRs are not looking for someone who's a know-it-all, right? You started off as a junior and they want to see that you know the basics of all those components, for example, the front end, the back end, and database, how you integrate these different components together. I think that's really important. And once you know it enough that you can talk about it confidently, I think that's really good enough that to get you into the door. And the third point is definitely be confident, because your past experience counts more than you'd think. For my case, I think my exposure to marketing and sort of, you know, entrepreneurship really gives me that confidence of how do I market myself? How do I put myself out there in front of people? Even though, you know, even English is not my first language. I think how you present yourself is really important. I think after that, after you get in to the door into the industry, what else is really important is that, you know, what T has mentioned, you want to find peers and you want to find mentors on your journey. So for peers, you can, you know, complain and validate each other and support each other, because that's really important. You don't want to be feeling alone down the road. You want to find people who is in the same boat. And mentors are also very important. You want to find those mentors who can show you the light, like Gandalf right here, who can actually tell good from bad, and they can explain these things because they know the principles very well. And you also want to work on many things. Definitely broaden your exposure to things, and I think that's very important at this beginning stage of your career. And the third point is, you know, building your patterns of learning. I think T also mentioned the same thing. You want to, I don't know, your personalities. For me, what worked for myself personally is that I want to seek challenge and stress. Because I think those things really push me. I'm kind of lazy, so if I don't have enough challenge, I probably wouldn't move as much. And once you have the challenge, you know, identify the gaps and goals, that what's keeping you from, you know, solving those challenges and problems. And then you want to learn and have those input that you enrich yourself, and then you apply them in the actual solution and then validate it with your mentor or with your peers. And the last point is, once you get into a company, you know, you start off as a junior, things can be very stressful. And you often think, oh, am I even good enough? Should I be quiet and not say things just in case I'm wrong? But I'd actually voice against that, because, you know, just say your concerns and understanding, voice them out loud so people can actually come and validate you. Being told wrong and having a bit of embarrassment is actually a good thing. That's a mechanism that the reality is telling you that there's something to learn. And sometimes you get it right. The last slide, please. Yeah, before I finish it off, I just wanted to touch on one of the key takeaways from the last year or two of my career. And that is to pick the hard path that actually interests you. One of my mentors, it's actually T's mentors as well, said this to me, that, you know, pick the biggest guy. So when the context is when you move into a new company, you want to establish your prestige, your credibility. One of the effective ways of doing that, once you are, you know, stepping up in your career, is to go in a new place and pick the hardest problem and in this case, the biggest guy in the domain, and hit him in the face. Just like this big guy and a small guy here. But so that even if you fail, you'd actually learn a huge amount of knowledge and you'd earn a huge amount of respect. And it's easy to say is this statement, but how to actually go about it. I'll give you a bit of example first. The example is that when I was in the MyOb, while a lot of people were working on this new exciting project that I really, really envy, I was actually at some point stuck into working on this legacy, very old system that involved Java, JSP, and Backbone, plus a bit of React. And you don't have to worry about what those things are. It sort of only matters once you sort of, you have sort of more into your journey in your career. But essentially what that means is I don't get to enjoy the fluency of the new stack. I'm always, dealing with all these messy problems, and I really, really struggled. But I did struggle well in the sense that I spent a long time learning how the stacks are integrated. And even though I often go to T and say, oh, I'm really, what you're working on is so good, I actually learned a bit from those pains as well. And then when I moved away from MyOb, I jumped into Oracle and realized, hang on a minute, these big organizations, they all have a huge amount of these legacy systems. The previous struggles and pains actually give me a bit of opportunity for me to solve, complex problems and meet the requirements. So that led to the fact that I got the chance to enhance and tailor an integration and migration solution that gives me more opportunity than I would have. So looking back at that, how do we identify that, it is a hard path, but also a good one? I think that some of the criteria that I found out is, the hard path needs to be valuable. It's actually solving a problem that would bring a huge amount of business value proposition. And that also needs to be a challenge that actually interests you, right? If you are interested in building React front-end stack and architecture, you wouldn't necessarily want to fix the pipeline because it's more for those who are interested in DevOps. And the third one is, it needs to exceed your limit because you want to fight the big guy. You don't want to fight a cute bunny. I think that would help you to push you and stretch your muscles. And find another characteristic of such a path is, the stuff that people really complain but don't really attend to. That means that there's a really pain point there, but people don't have enough determinations or enough time or enough resources to get it solved. And that's where you can stand up and shine. And once you've identified the path, how do you go about it? I'd say first, you need to understand it. I made a lot of mistakes where, because I'm a very outgoing person, so I found a problem. I was like, oh, I think I know all about it. But then reality slapped me in the face and told me that it's not the case. So get a full understanding of the context and the problem is really important. And once you've done that, if you decide to do it, commit to it. I think that's really important. You take the ownership, you make it your own thing, you make it your own personal goal. And what else is, you need a bit of GND, grit and determination, to actually get it done. You may require help from others, but a lot of times to take leadership, the first step is to get stuff done on your own. But after that, once you have established the bare minimum to showcase to others, ask for help, document it and showcase it, because it's not only about doing, it's about achieving alignment and let everybody know that you have been doing this and you want them to be onboarded. A bit of more touchdown on why this is important, because I think once you have passed the getting started stage of your career, you want to stretch your capabilities so that you can often get out of this stage where people can be stagnating. And you also want this force to drive you forward. Hence, you want to tackle the challenge that actually exceeds your limit. And you also want to build credit and prestige, because that's very important when it comes to moving up the corporate chain. And the fourth point is actually, you know, think of it as a form of validation. You may fail down the line, but at the same time, you know, it gives you a great opportunity to reflect on the learnings and takeaways. And the final point is, you know, legacy, actually, if you guys go into the industry for long enough, you realize that legacy is everywhere. Greenfield is a dream. So, and definitely cherish the time where you have all the freedom to build great React-based front-end and back-end integrated app on your own, because those experiences are great, and you need to sort of use that as an opportunity to elevate your skills before you go to the big corporations. So I think that's pretty much it. I hope that's helpful. Thanks.
All right, thanks Ryan and T. Does anyone have any questions? You can just take yourself off mute.
Is there any big challenges that comes to mind that you didn't talk about in the presentation?
Any challenges in our career? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I'd actually start on one of the current challenges I have been facing in my personal career. Is, like T said, the urge or the feeling that you don't know enough, that you're not good enough. And I think this is always going to be here. You feel like, oh, you know, the industry is moving so fast. Am I even good enough? Do I know everything that is needed? I think that to sort of maintain the level of anxiety is important, and because you have to accept that, you have to acknowledge that for you to go further, because you don't want to feel bad about yourself all the time. So be confident, do your daily learning, but then also just keep going without being too anxious.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. Like for me, it's something similar. So when you're in like a company or a startup, they usually have delivery deadlines. So they want you to finish a certain thing by a certain time. And I found that to be quite challenging when, you know, you're trying to also balance your normal life as well. And there are things that you've never touched on, or, you know, you've never heard of before. And all of a sudden it lands on you and you have to figure out what to do to like finish the task. So when those situations happen, it can make you pretty stressed. But if you have like a really good team and a good manager or dev lead, we call them dev lead, they really help. So you can reach out to your peers if you know, ever get too stuck. So that's what a team is for. And also your manager should be able to pick up on these things to help you maybe like slice the work in a better way, so you don't get given such a huge task. But yeah, it definitely affects like stress level and work-life balance at times. Like I'm still struggling to try to finish work at 5. Like it always ends up being like 5:30 or 6, because you just want to do a little bit more to get things done. So I think that's still the challenge I'm trying to tackle, which is have a better work-life balance.
Cool, thank you. So I suppose teamwork skills plays into that a lot as well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Like I've jumped
for help.
Yeah.
I just have a few questions. So how do you find a mentor? Because I found, so I missed the opportunity being a graduate. I finished my degree a while ago, like in 2014. And I just took whatever opportunity came to me. So I missed that graduate, having the graduate program, because I took a different path. I found as a graduate, it's all right. Like they give you a mentor, but if you're just applying for a normal role, like say like intermediate, you don't normally get a mentor, and sometimes you get stuck, and your colleagues are mostly worried about their problems. So as my current workplace is really nice, and people are really helpful. But I worked at a few agencies. I found people mostly care about their own problems. So sometimes you get stuck with the coding and you just can't progress any further. How do you solve that problem? Can you get people to help you, or do you have to solve that yourself?
That's a really good question. I'll take on this one. To be honest, like this is I think my third year in my career. I still find the same problem, because you always want a mentor that is above you in terms of experience, and you need to find them and make sure that they actually care about what you are doing and what you are experiencing. I think that let's say if you're in different lines of business, you always need this kind of skill to build relationships. So I think it all comes down to building relationships, and somehow it doesn't have to start like a mentorship in the beginning. It starts with going out for coffees. It starts with taking interest in other people's life. Like just reach out to them, and you may have to reach out to a lot of people, because you never know until you sort of really interact with them for a while. And then you will realize, okay, this person is reliable and willing to help others, and some are not. That's the first thing. So take time to build relationship and reach out. And once you have done that, I think it's just a matter of stating your needs. You also want to express, hey, I feel like I'm stuck. Can you, what's your experience? You seem to be, praise him or her, right? Say, hey, I think you have a really awesome career, and I think you're progressing really well. And you've only been in the industry for like 4 or 5 years. How did you do it? Because people usually give you what they want if you praise them a little bit. That's the second thing. Third thing is reach out to your supervisor and just say, hey, I think I need a mentor. Do you think there's anyone in the team that would be helpful in that regard? And a lot of time in a lot of organizations, being able to mentor people, being able to manage juniors is actually one of the most important criteria for people to move from mid-level developers to senior, or senior to principal. So try to speak to people that that connect your needs to their interests, right? Your need is to get people who is more experienced than you to give you a hand or to give you a direction. They need to get promoted. They need to get up. So how do you find a way to organize that is very important. One of the ways it's just to reach out to the superiors, so that you're not just reaching out to the person where his or her effort is unseen. Because if you go to the supervisor, then his effort or her effort is being seen by the supervisor. And that could be a credit for him down the road. I think that those 3 points is how I would go about it.
So the recommendation is to make friends with, like, to reach out to people and make friends, and then they might be able to help you. Like,
reach out to people, try it. It's like I don't know. It's like trying to hit a jackpot. You have to try many enough to identify the one, and that's the first one. The second one is try to praise the other person. I'll put it blindly. Just, hey, you're great. You know, what you're doing is incredible. I really admire your ability. Would you really please help me? Say those words. I know it sounds like cheesy, but it's actually not, right? Because if you want to find a mentor, you should be genuinely impressed by what she or him is doing. And the third one is make his effort seen. That will be an incentive to the person who's trying to help you. So go through your supervisors, let him to sort of say, okay, I feel, you know, because usually you would have this one-on-one sessions in your team with the manager. Say that, you know, he is helping me, or I want him or her to help me, or would you appoint someone who you think is experienced enough to mentor me? So 3 points.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I just have one final question. Does bootcamp graduate count as graduate, or it depends on the company?
Yep. So I am not too sure about other companies, but at MYOB, I know that we do take bootcamp graduates, even those who haven't actually done any official diploma, bachelor, or any kind of certificate. They look at your background as well, what you've done, what projects you've worked on. So our pool of graduates range from people who used to work in another industry who haven't done any tech certificate, to bootcamp graduates, to bachelor, to master. They all mix together because the certificate is not everything. They look at other things as well. I would say maybe like if you have projects you've worked on that you can show them, that's also a really good way to impress the person as well. And yeah, so your past experience, and they do cultural interviews, technical interviews, system thinking interviews to see how you work in a team, how you solve problems, and your also technical background as well, what you know, your knowledge. So it's a very holistic assessment for MYOB. Not too sure about other companies. I'm sure they probably not, like these days, I don't think companies are as strict in terms of, oh, you have to have done a bachelor or a master degree, because they realize that talents lie in, you know, various different ways and from many different backgrounds. Anything to add, Ryan?
No, that's it. I guess, yeah, I would concur because I've seen many really great graduates from MYOB who came from a bootcamp background. And personally, if you ask me, I think as long as your skills are there, the degree is, I've seen so many students graduating from degrees that comes nowhere as competent when it comes to, you know, the skills in comparison to bootcamp graduates. And I think if you have like something to show off from your past career, I think that's really important, because the only thing you're missing is just the process, the technical skills, but you also have a lot of accumulations of, you know, how to work in the workplace, how to talk to people, how to manage up as well as managing down from your past experience. I think those things can't be easily taught in university as well. So definitely, you know, when you're going to interviews, brag about those things, talk about those things, because that's going to help.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so I'm glad that the bootcamp graduate counts as graduate, because as I said, I missed that opportunity. After I graduated in 2014, I took the testing path instead of development path, because that just came to me and I took it. And a lot of, while I was looking for graduate program, I found a lot of them want you to have some experience already. And I didn't have any experience as a graduate. And they want you to have some project experience. And while I was doing uni, I didn't use GitHub or Git, anything like that. And if I know that that the bootcamp help with that, I would definitely take that on top of the on top of a bachelor degree. I think the combination of bootcamp and the bachelor would definitely help a lot as a graduate, because we didn't have any experience, not even project experience. So it was really hard even to get into a graduate position.
Yeah. On top of that, I'd just add, I know it's hard when you're a student, but definitely look out for opportunities to build stuff with your friends or build stuff on your own, freelance. I think those things, and even in uni, because my experience is that, you know, there are oftentimes internal projects in the university. So get your grades up, or, you know, find internal paid or unpaid projects to get on. Anything that would get up and running and released would help you. Even if it's a side project on your own, it's still help. Don't try to, I do that as well. When I look at the job description, I go like, oh, they're talking about, you know, experience in 5 years experience in React, whereas I only have 3. But then I go apply anyway, and usually I'll get it, because really, you don't know until you give it a go. And it's more about how competent you appear to be when you were in that process than how competent you think you are, because oftentimes we undervalue ourselves in this kind of the interviewing process. So don't get too worried.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a question as well. I mean, I'm just thinking, because both of you did the graduate program at MYOB. Was it that it was easier to get into a company like this? So thinking about the graduate program, just because it's a career change, or it's an easier way to get in and to be supported, or it's just because maybe it's MYOB process? Or how was it otherwise in terms of job search, you know, in terms of tackling other companies? I don't know if I'm clear.
Yeah. To be honest, at the time, I was only looking for graduate programs, because like I didn't really know anything else. And to me, I was like, oh, yep, I'm fresh out of, you know, studying. I want to be in a position where I can learn and, you know, be given the opportunity to try different things. And with the graduate program there, they have a thing called crew rotation, where you get to work in different teams, like each team maybe for 3 months, and and each team works on completely different tech stack and different domain as well. So you get to try, like, maybe you would enjoy front end more, maybe you would like back end more, maybe you want to do more like infrastructure stuff or like security stuff. So that was what was appealing to me, because I still didn't know exactly what sort of area I wanted to focus on more. And being given that opportunity, you get to try everything to sort of see how it is before you make a decision to invest more of your next, let's say 2 or 3 years on one particular tech stack and domain. So I found it to be very helpful. But if you already know maybe what you really want to do, then you could probably be a bit more focused on what you're looking for when you finish your studies. But that was my case. I wanted to sort of explore more before I make a decision to sort of commit a bit.
No, great, thanks. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. So thank you.
Yeah, no worries.
I've got a random question. Like, how long did it take you guys to find a job after you finish? And do you think COVID-19 is gonna affect the job opportunity? Is it gonna be is there gonna be more opportunity for us to get a job because of COVID-19? A lot of things just went online, or do you think there's, you know, gonna be less opportunity because of it?
Yeah, so how long did it take me to to land on the job in MYOB? I was lucky. So I think it was a year before I actually finished uni, because I did the mobile application in RMIT before that, and the freelancing as well. I think those things helped. So I got it before I finished university. I think it was one semester before it actually ended. But during the process, I like I said, I wrote a lot of resumes and I did a lot of work and only landed on a few. So that's, you know, if you're expecting something, you know, definitely don't expect it to be too easy, but it's okay. It's like what everybody goes through, I guess. In terms of COVID, unfortunately, some of the big companies have put on a hiring freeze. But that being said, there are also a lot of remote positions open up. But take it from this way, like it takes a lot of distractions away from you as well, right? You don't get to go to pubs with friends anymore. You don't get to go to movies. So what you do, like the only thing you can probably do is sit in front of your desk and try to hack out some code. But economy goes up and down. I think the demand is still there. People are moving online, like you said. You know, the need for online and IT powered tools are in the niche. And I think once this COVID thing comes to an end, I definitely say that the market's going to pick up. So.
I can confirm that people are still recruiting, just from personal like experience, and also, like I know companies are still recruiting. I know SEEK has put on a hiring freeze, and they've got a really good graduate program there. But unfortunately, right now they're not hiring. But I know that some other companies are still hiring. MYOB was still hiring, but they've actually just finished their recruitment for graduate this year in July, which is just now. But I think they're hiring again in February. I'm not too sure if other companies are doing graduate programs, but they are hiring for other positions from what I've known and from like just personal contacts as well. So I think just keep looking, like people, because online is like the way now, right? Everything's moving online, you know. So more and more they're needing developers and whatever roles in tech. We hire a lot of people from overseas as well. So that means there is a demand in local people who are currently in Australia. So yeah, I think it's still going, maybe not as strong, but still going.
Ian, may I ask if you have the same feeling based on your relationship with companies? Don't know.
Sorry, can you rephrase that? What do you mean?
I was asking Ian, who has some relationship with the companies from Monash Uni, what would be his feeling? Do a lot of them have higher freeze due to COVID-19, especially in Melbourne, or actually because it's a tech industry is still going on?
It's still going on. I'll be honest, there is a bit of an hiring freeze. But that's more from a senior level. Companies, the reason there's a hiring freeze is companies are a little bit uncertain on what their budgets are going to be for the upcoming year. How much, so that's the only reason there's a hiring freeze. The hiring managers I talk to, they're like, we need people, but HR, CEO, they're not letting us recruit. What was interesting though, I spoke to a gentleman today who runs a small to medium-sized consultancy firms. He goes out with companies. It's based around a lot of the Microsoft products, and then he'll customize the off-the-shelf Microsoft product for their client. And he's saying a lot more Australian clients want the building done in Australia. So he can no longer offshore it to India, offshore it to Eastern Europe, because they want the developers to be locally based because they got a better understanding of the local market. So at the moment, I mean, I jump on Seek every fortnight. Rita will send out an email with what jobs are happening. And over the last couple of months, there are a lot more opportunities becoming available. You just need to stay on top of it, because unfortunately it is going to be a little bit competitive. There's a lot of people going for the 1 or 2 jobs, but if you get your resume in early, that's going to count. And if you follow Ryan's lead of building stuff, so when you go to the interview, you go, look what I built, look, if it takes you 6 months to get a job, but you've built 6 different apps during that 6 months, the employer is going to go, wow, if we give that person a job, imagine what they're going to do when we pay them for 6 months. So you need to be proactive. As Ryan said, you can't go to movies. You can only watch so much Netflix. So if you've graduated already, build stuff. So when you go for interviews, you've got stuff to show off. And going back to Mandy's question about grad programs, traditional companies, so your bigger companies are probably still set in that grad program mindset where you need to have done your undergraduate degree, you need to have got your HDs, and that's how you get into the company. But a lot more tech companies are realizing that's not the best way to get talent. You'll get someone that's ultra smart, but they can't survive in the corporate world. They don't have all the other life skills to be able to survive, the communication skills, the teamwork skills. So ironically, the other company I spoke to that's got a similar program to MYOB's, their direct competitor Xero, they've got a similar program, and a lot more of the tech companies are opening the programs up to, it's not what your degree is, it's basically what you bring to the table, what apps you've built, how confident you present your skills. That's becoming more and more relevant in grad programs than what uni you went to or what grade point average you had. Did that answer your question?
Yes, for me, yes.
Sure.
And just to add on that, I think when you're building those apps, definitely do what you'd like, but at the same time, it's not about the quantity, it's about the quality as well. So if you build 1 or 2, grind on those things, make it sort of presentable, eliminate as many bugs as you can, and put it onto a cloud infrastructure. And if you can, write a few unit tests. People like tests these days. If you mention tests in interviews, they go, oh, most graduates doesn't do that. So yeah, a few technical details.
One day I'll learn how to use Zoom and take myself off mute before I speak. For those that haven't registered, please use the link in the chat to register that you've attended. Does anyone have any other questions before we thank T and Ryan for their time? All right, cool. Well, thank you all for attending. We can be cheesy. Ryan said you're allowed to be cheesy, so please give Ty and Ryan a bit of a round of applause. It's not easy doing tech talk, so I do appreciate their time and effort. Ryan, both of the speakers have attended. They're Melbourne based. I'll put my face mask joke in. They should be wearing a face mask, but both of them are Melbourne based, and they both have attended previous Monash demo days, and they're great supporters of the boot camp. So yeah, again, thank you for your time and effort. For the students, the next tech talk will be the 26th of August. It will be with a gentleman called Matt Coles, who again has attended both Melbourne and Sydney demo days. He works for AWS, and he'll be doing a presentation on cloud technology and probably plug in AWS products as well. So yeah, so thank you all for joining. I should have the invite, Rita should be sending out the invite by the end of this week. So we hope to see you all on the 26th. Please register that you attended. It just makes you look good when we look at your reports on Salesforce. And any final comments, I guess?
Sounds great.
Rita, did you have anything to say? I'm going to throw you in the deep end. Rita?
Yeah, sorry I joined in a bit late because I was having a session earlier. Really, thank you so much, Tito and Ryan. It's really great hearing this from you. While you were, sharing your experience and your advice, I was slacking some of the students here. I was like, see, I told you that. See? So it's so good, you know, to hearing all this from industry professionals. And I really appreciate your time, you know, after work and all. Tito, you mentioned that you still have to do some overtime work. So I really appreciate that you're taking your precious time here, sharing all of your valuable advice with our students. This means a lot to them, especially because of this situation we have now with COVID. Some of them are just not feeling too confident with what they have. And often I see that, you know, when they don't get any responses from the applications, they always have this self-doubt about themselves, like, is it my problem? Am I not good enough? So yeah, thank you so much for, you know, pushing their confidence up and speaking honestly from your point of view that, hey, you don't have to know everything at the end of the day, and you know, doing all those things around getting mentors, getting peers. I think those are really important stuff that they need to work on. Yeah, so that's all. I think I really enjoyed this session. Really, I wish it's longer, but I know it's taking up a lot of your time too. But it's been so great. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us. And yeah, I hope it helps a little bit, if anything.
A lot.
Cheers. Cool.
Excellent. Well, yeah, final comment is we will be sharing the video and we will be sharing the slide deck. T's LinkedIn details are in there, and if Ryan doesn't object, we'll also include Ryan's LinkedIn details. You're cool with that, Ryan?
Yep, absolutely.
I was chucked you in the deep end then, you can't say no now. So
no problem.
Cool. Well, thanks everyone for attending. Thank you guest speakers, and to the students. For those that have demo day in the next couple of weeks, good luck. We got lots of IPs that ready to attend and keen to give some feedback and advice. And yeah, to everyone else, I hope to see you all on the 26th for the next virtual tech talk.
Cheers.
Thank you guys.
See you later.
See you
Everyone. Have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you.